Magic, killer clowns, and the actual Grim Reaper? The ending of Twisted Metal hinted at a lot of possibilities. Here's what might be coming down the road in a possible second season. John Doe is a milkman, essentially an extremely skilled driver with a souped-up and weaponized car, who couriers goods, such as medicine, food, and other supplies, across the post-apocalyptic world of the divided states of America. John also has amnesia, with only a burnt photo of him as a kid to link him to his past. It's eventually revealed in Episode 3 that the world ended in the year 2002 after a Y2K-type event decimated everything all over the world. Walled cities were constructed to protect the affluent from the dangerous outside world of scavenging and violence. One such city is New San Francisco, run by the power-hungry mayor Raven, a place John does milkman runs for. The story of Twisted Metal gets going when Raven offers John a job he can't pass up.
If you go to New Chicago and bring this package back from me, I will make you a citizen of New San Francisco.
I get to live here?
John has 10 days to complete his mission, but things get complicated when he gets carjacked by Quiet. She's a fugitive on the run from Agent Stone, who leads a dangerous gang of would-be police officers. While John and Quiet are antagonistic towards each other at first, they eventually learn to work together and even fall in love over the course of their violent road trip. At the end of Twisted Metal, John Doe completes Raven's mission and delivers the package from New Chicago to New San Francisco at the last minute. He's looking forward to having a safe place to live behind the city walls, but his new partner throws a wrench in the plan. Quiet isn't allowed inside.
We had a deal, John. You and me.
And she's with me. That's all you need to know.
Before John has the chance to reject the offer of salvation in New San Francisco to stay with Quiet, she shoots him. The violent act is done out of love so John can be taken into medical care by the NSF medics. John is content in NSF for a while, but he becomes bored by the repetitive routine of the suburban-like existence of the walled-in city. When he tells Raven his plans to leave NSF and find Quiet, she tries to convince him to stay by revealing his family was from old San Francisco before the apocalypse. John still insists on leaving, but Raven doesn't take the rejection well. It's at this point that she reveals her real plan. She sent John out to test his driving before forcing him to represent her in an upcoming contest. Before Quiet joined John on his mission, she had a quest of her own. At the beginning of the season, Quiet's brother Loud kills himself rather than let his sister die at the hands of Agent Stone, the leader of a gang of cops trying to restore order in the post-apocalyptic divided states of America. However, rather than restoring order, they spread terror, violence, and fear, including turning the DMV into a Guantanamo Bay-esque torture black site. Though she helps John on his drive, Quiet never stops hunting for Stone, and John's involvement complicates things. The loss of Quiet's brother left her hopeless and with a death wish, but John's friendship and later love make her realize that she could find new connections. In the end, instead of killing Stone in cold blood after beating him in car combat, she decides to wash her hands of him and move on to heal. After she leaves John, Quiet, going by the codename Roadkill, becomes a liberator of the wasteland. She steals and hijacks supplies from wayward milkmen to give back to the homeless and needy in a Robin Hood sort of way. Eventually, though, she's caught by the Dollface gang, whose leader turns out to be John's long-lost sister. While not one of the main characters, Stu is still important in the Twisted Metal series. He and his friend Mike are based on the characters in Twisted Metal 2 who drive the monster truck Hammerhead, which sadly doesn't make an appearance this season. In the show, rather than being metalhead stoners who wish for the ability to fly, Mike and Stu are wayward scavengers about to be eaten by cannibals before being saved by Agent Stone's goons. Stone then offers Mike and Stu the opportunity to be lawbringers like them. Stu, however, realizes very quickly that he's not cruel enough to be a lawbringer, and Mike eventually sells him out. Luckily, before Stu is executed, he's rescued by Sweet Tooth. The evil clown takes a quick liking to Stu, partially due to them being big dudes whose first names start with S. Unfortunately, while Sweet Tooth is supportive of Stu, he's also psychotic and manipulative, and at one point during the final battle against Stone, kills some allies with no remorse.
There are no sides, Stubert. Everybody burns.
When Sweet Tooth forces Stu to kill Mike, Stu refuses, standing up for himself and shooting Sweet Tooth in the eye. Fans of the game will recognize that this gives the clown his iconic video game injury from Twisted Metal Black. Like so much television and film these days, there is, of course, an after-credit scene following the ending of the Twisted Metal finale. We see Mike and Stu enjoying their time together on a secluded beach with their girlfriends, but they're interrupted by an unexpected visitor.
Actually, I have a better idea.
Mike and Stu share a nervous laugh with Sweet Tooth, but they're terrified. After all, the last time they saw the violent clown, they hit him with their van. Unfortunately for them, Sweet Tooth stops laughing, takes out a machete, and stabs Mike to death. Afterwards, Sweet Tooth drags Stu away screaming. Is Mike actually dead? If so, does it end the potential of seeing Mike and Stu drive a monster truck together? While that could indeed be true, the whole thing could be a fake-out. Maybe Mike survives his wounds, or maybe it's the setup to an elaborate joke. It would definitely be nice to see Mike return. It would be a pretty big disappointment to see Hammerhead on screen without both Mike and Stu behind the wheel. The Twisted Metal series isn't subtle about its anti-capitalist nature. It shows the great disparity between the haves and have-nots in the new post-apocalyptic society, and how those in power will always continue to amass more wealth and resources by exploiting those in poverty. This is made pretty clear by the walled-in cities of New San Francisco or New Chicago. In these cities, a small minority of affluent people live in opulence and luxury, while the majority of the world lives in poverty and squalor. However, the critique goes beyond that. Consider Quiet's backstory set in the walled city of Orange County. After the end of the world, the OC becomes a fascistic nightmare where white upper-middle-class and suburban-coded denizens keep marginalized and minority workers as slaves. Though not a true reflection of the actual place, there is no question that our world has a long and sad history of subjugating citizens for the benefit of a few wealthy and powerful people. Another important message of Twisted Metal is the necessity of human connections, bonds, and community. In capitalism, everything is set up as a competition, and relationships within that system are meant to be seen as transactional. Even personal friendships under capitalism are often viewed as merely stepping stones for people to network and elevate their careers, always at the expense of others. We see how this manifests at the beginning of the show when John Doe's only friend is his car, Evelyn. The same goes for Quiet, who isolates herself from human connection by not even speaking. They both work alone in their own little toxic bubbles, and even when they're forced together due to unforeseen circumstances, they still try to find ways to undermine or exploit each other at every opportunity. Once they decide to actually open up to each other and work together as a team, they start to actually succeed in ways they couldn't have if they were alone. They even find love and a bond that their isolation denied them. It's this connection to others that even leads to Quiet becoming a liberator for the people of the wasteland. She is attempting to foster communities by providing them basic necessities denied by their world. In an interview with Sci-Fi, Samoa Joe said he hopes that the second season gets to be more violent and dark. In the first season of Twisted Metal, Sweet Tooth is far less bloodthirsty and evil than he is in the games. He is indeed violent and psychotic, but there's a silliness to Joe and Will Arnett's portrayal of the evil clown that's absent from the games. This is especially true for the later games on which the show is based. In an interview with Deadline, Anthony Mackie said, "John's going to have some challenges that's going to come his way that's going to force his hand to be more of an adult and make some really tough decisions because you can't be a milkman all your life." It seems that there are going to be many morally gray moments in Season 2 if it indeed happens. If Twister, Quiet, or even his sister Dollface joins the tournament and it's kill or be killed, how do you make the right choice of who lives or dies? One of the most exciting aspects of the ending of Twisted Metal Season 1 is the fact that it actually introduces the Twisted Metal contest into the story. Much like the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie, the 2023 Twisted Metal streaming series doesn't even introduce the main event that the whole thing is named after. We'll just have to wait for more episodes to continue the story. To hold over die-hard fans, there are glimpses of other drivers from the game, including fan favorites Mr. Grimm and Axel. They also imply that other drivers from the game who showed up earlier in the series, like Twister, Preacher, and Flower Power, will be joining the Twisted Metal tournament as well. Raven is a playable character in the 2001 game Twisted Metal Black, and while the two characters have nothing in common, it's certainly possible that we could see the show's version behind the wheel. Finally, there's also the possibility that Agent Stone survived the finale. After all, we don't see him die on screen. Could his character be joining the tournament also? We'll just have to wait and see. Another exciting thing about the end of Season 1 is that it could also lead to the introduction of the supernatural elements that exist in the game. While John and Quiet hear Calypso's voice while picking up Raven's package in New Chicago, he's not really mentioned in the show outside of some shots of graffiti saying Calypso is real and such. However, in the games, Calypso is the one who runs the Twisted Metal tournament in nearly every entry, and he has magical powers that grant any wish the winner of the tournament desires, though the wish usually backfires in a monkey's paw sort of way. In the finale, once Raven forces John at gunpoint to be her driver in the Twisted Metal tournament, she hints at a big reward.
I need you to win because Calypso is offering quite a prize. The winner gets their heart's desire. The greatest wish come true.
This might mean that Calypso has magic powers in the show as well. This also means that Mr. Grimm, who is briefly seen in one of the photos during the montage of contestants, could be the actual Grim Reaper like he was in the first 2 games. He's been human in other games, but the Reaper version is still a fan favorite.